Nazir. Someone who said, I am a Nazir, became tummy on day 30. He forfeits all. Eliezer says he forfeits only seven. If he said, I am a Nazir 30 days, if he became tummy on day 30, he forfeits all. I am one who says, I am a Nazir for 100 days. If he became tummy on day one day, on day 100, he forfeits all. Reb Eliezer says he forfeits only 30. If he became a tummy on day 101, he forfeits 30 days. Reb Eliezer says he forfeits only seven. Someone who declared himself a Nazir while in a cemetery, even if he was there for 30 days, they are not wet records for him in the account for his term, and he does not bring the sacrifice for Tuma. If he left and re-entered, they are reckoned for him for in the count, and he does bring the sacrifice for Tuma. If Eliezer says not on the same day, as it says, but the first days shall be forfeit, and until there are first days. Right.
Okay. Mishna Nazirus Harbe. Okay, so if a person was in wait a second, let me just make sure I turn this. Yeah, okay. So if somebody was in Chutz La'aretz. Okay, so now just to give a little bit of background over here, Chazal paskened a tumah on Chutz La'aretz, and it's a tumah derabanan, and it is also not a tumah that would force a Nazir to restart his Nazirus. Again, it's like a cemetery in that respect. If a Nazir is in the middle of his term and he violates what he's supposed to do and goes to Chutz La'aretz, no, he shouldn't have done it, but it doesn't terminate his Nazirus. Okay,
So when
so
he comes, he continues his count, or when he
so
comes
he
back.
so he continues his count.
Right.
Yeah, it did not reset his count. He's not allowed to be there because there is a tumor there and it's a tumor, but it's a tumor durabanan, and therefore it doesn't reset him exactly the same as a cemetery. But if somebody has started, remember what we just said about if somebody started their Nazirus inside the cemetery and they spend how many days, they can't start the Nazirus while they're still in the cemetery. They have to go out before the clock starts. Okay, so here is somebody who made a long-term Naziris, Vishlimus Naziris, and he completed the Naziris in Chutz La'aretz. And now he comes to Eretz Yisrael and says, "Okay, I want to come and finish off my Naziris." So now we have a machlokes Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. If we look at this Nebuch guy and say, "Okay, he's just spent a long time being a Nazir. Um, how strict are we going to be on him?" Beis Shammai say, look, this is one of the cases that's recorded in Eidos as a kula of Beis Shammai and a chumrah of Beis Hillel. That Beis Shammai look at this and say, look, Me'ikar Adin, he's okay because if at least on the Torah level, he did the right. He's okay. He completed his Nazirus, but we don't want him to. We want to make sure that he does at least a basic term of Nazirus in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, Beis Shammai say Nazir Shloshim Yom. Just do another 30 days, and you're good to go. Beis Hillel Omrim Nazir Batchila. Nope, the count never started. While you're in Chutz La'aretz, the count just never started because you were in the wrong place. And famous Maaseh of Heleni HaMalka, she was a non-Jewish queen who converted to Judaism. And this must have happened after her conversion because a non-Jew cannot be a Nazir. Okay, so she made a condition. Shehalach b'na lemilchama v'amra im yavo b'ni min hamilchama b'shalom ehei nazira sheva shanim. She was very emotional about this, and her son survived the war, and she said she's going to be a nazira for 7 years. So she very dutifully kept her nazirus while she was ruling over her country in Chutz La'aretz. Uba okay, Sof Sheva Shanim al Salaretz, and she said, "Okay, I'm done. Now I'm going to come and do my whole completion ceremony in Eretz Yisrael." V'horuha Beis Hillel shetahei Nazira od Sheva Shanim acheros. Sorry, ma'am, you need to keep another 7 years in Eretz Yisrael. Ubesof Sheva Shanim nitmes, and on the last day of her 7 years, oops, she became Tameh. She became Tameh again. V'nimtes Nazira esrim v'achas shana. So you end up being in Nazira for 21 years. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda lo haysa nazira ela arba esrei shana. So Rabbi Yehuda is not, by the way, um, disputing the fact that she became tamei on the last day. Rather, he's going back to the halacha that we said a couple of Mishnayos ago, where Rabbi Eliezer said that if somebody was 100 days a Nazir, and they became tamei on the 100th day, Rabbi Eliezer says that he only has to keep another 30 days. Okay, because the last day is mechza kakulo.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's not the mainstream opinion, but Rabbi Yehuda is saying like Rabbi Eliezer over there that the fact that she became tamei on the last day means that she had to keep another 30 days, not another 7 years. So he's saying that it was only 14 years, and he's not mentioning the 30 days over here because that's not the main crux of the dispute. 1 month against 7 years is not
Yeah.
right is not really worth talking about. So that's the basis of the dispute, and we don't know for sure which way was actually the halacha that was paskined.
She was the one who put a something on the Beis Hamikdash. She
Yes,
left a
very good, very good. That's mentioned in Maseches Yoma.
right.
I think she did the kior. Did she do? Was that Munbaz? It was what? Yeah, you're right. She made one of the major contributions
Right.
to the kalim of the Beis Hamikdash. Correct. Okay.
Right.
Misha hayu shtei kitei edim me'idos osa. Okay, so a guy is brought in is has two sets of witnesses come against him. Well, against him, they're saying he claims he never said anything, but a set of witnesses said no, 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 no. We were with you at that party when you were drinking, and you said you were going to be a Nazir for 2 terms. So he says I don't remember anything like that, but he's got Adim who say that they heard him say it. But there's another set of Adim that said no, it wasn't two sets of Naziris, it was five. Okay, so one set says Nazar Shtaim, Elu Me'idim She Nazar Chamesh. Beis Shammai Omrim Nechleka Ha'edus Ve'en Kanazir. So Beis Shammai again are Makil, and they say, look, the two sets of witnesses are contradicting each other, and therefore they fall away. Beis Hillel Omrim Yesh Bichlal Chamesh Shtayim Sheyehei Nazir Shtayim. So Beis Hillel says, no, no, no. We don't say they're contradicting. They're agreeing with each other about two sets of Naziris. The other one is just saying there's another three. So, um, so he says, so according to Beis Hillel, it comes out of Chumrah that they're going to force this guy to keep two sets of Naziros, where Beis Shammai is Makil and says he doesn't have to keep anything. Okay.
Hey,
Misha Amar Hareini Nazir. So here we start chaining dependencies. The first guy comes and says, "I'm a Nazir." V'shama chaveiro v'amar va'ani, and he says, "Just like you're a Nazir, I'm a Nazir." So with toch kadei dibur, and we have a whole bunch of people who say, "Listen, this is now a social contagion. We're all going to be Nazirim," and everyone comes and says, and me too, and me too, me too, me too." So this whole chain of people all come and say, "Yeah, I'm like you, I'm like you, I'm like you." Um, Hutter Harishon. Now the first guy says, "Actually, I didn't realize that." Blah 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 blah. Comes with the whole charata, goes to a chacham, and says, "I want to be matir neder." And the chacham finds him a petach and says, "Okay, you are you were never a nazir." Hutar Arishon, Hutar Kulan. So since they were all dependent on him ultimately, because the second guy was dependent on him and he falls away, and so the dominoes all fall. Hutar Achron, however, if the last guy gets a heter, Achron Mutar Kulam Asurim, and everyone else is who wasn't dependent on him is still a nazir. Amar, what happens if a person says Harini Nazir? V'shama Chaver Amar Pi Kafiv. Usari Kasaro. My mouth is like his mouth from wine. Usari Kasaro. My hair is like his hair from being cut. Hareze Nazir. That's another way that you can make it. You can declare the Naziris and be dependent on him. If a guy says Hareini Nazir, for Shama Ishto, and his wife listens to him and says, "Oh yes, that's a great idea." V'amra Vani. Yeah, me too. I'm going to be a Nazir like you. Mayfair Shelah v'shelo kayam. The husband is allowed to be Mayfair. Say, no, no, no. I'm a Nazir. You're not a Nazir. Nazira. So he can. So as a husband, he is allowed to annul her vow. Now that isn't a huge chiddush, but the interesting part is what happens if it's the reverse direction. The woman first starts out by saying, Hareini Nazira. She says, I am a Nazira. Shama Bala, and her husband hears this and says, that's a great idea. Va'amar Va'ani, and he chains his Nazirus on hers. And now he says, well, but as a matter of fact, I want to be Mayfair your neder now. Einu Yachol Lahafer. He cannot do it because once he has made a statement that he is making his Nazirus contingent on her Nazirus, he has in effect approved her vow. Once he's approved it, he can no longer annul it.
Right. Right.
Okay. And that's it.
Good. Okay. All right. Daram. If a woman said, calling on my benefit regarding father or your father, if I work for your benefit or calling on my benefit to you, if I work for the benefit of father or your father, this he can revoke. At first, they used to say there are three women who must be divorced, that they are taken to take they take their ketubah. One who says, I am unclean to you, or heaven is between you and you, or I am removed from all Jews. They later retracted this so that a wife should not set her eyes upon another man and behave immorally toward her husband. Rather, one who says, I am unclean to you must prove it. Heaven is between me and you, and they should plead with her. I am removed from all Jews. He should revoke his share so that she continue in marital relations with him, but she is removed from other Jews. Okay, Hadron um,
And one more and from the beginning of Nazir.
okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, Aleph Aleph. All equivalent terms used in Naziris are like Naziris. One who says, I will be is a Nazir, or I will be handsome is a Nazir. Natzak, Natziak, Bizak is a Nazir. One who says, I am like this one, I am to stroke my hair, I am to let my hair grow. There's an obligation upon me to let my hair grow long, he is a Nazir. If he says, there's an obligation upon me to offer birds, Ramea says he is a Nazir, but the sages say he is not a Nazir. Okay, I got to put up, you know. Is that right? Yeah. Finish with the Dharm. And we're on to the Tubas.
Mhm.
Yud Gimel Yud. There are three lands as far as marriage is concerned: Judea, this other side of the Jordan, and the Galilee. They cannot remove from town to town or from city to city. In the same land, however, they remove from town to town or from city to city, but not from a town to a city or a city to a town. They may remove from a bad dwelling to a good dwelling, but not from good dwelling to a bad dwelling. Now, Shimon ben Gamliel says not even from a bad dwelling to a good dwelling, for the good dwelling depends on the roof. What's on the proof? Everyone is compelled to go up to Eretz Israel, but no one can be compelled to go out. Everyone can be compelled to go up to Yerushalayim, but no one can be compelled to go out, both men and women. If one married a woman in Eretz Israel and divorced her in Eretz Israel, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Israel. If he married a woman in Eretz Israel and divorced her in Kappadoka, he gives her of the coinage of Eretz Israel. If he married a woman in Cappadocia and divorced her in Eretz Israel, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Israel. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says he gives her the coinage of Cappadocia. If he married a woman in Cappadocia and divorced her in Cappadocia, he gives her the coinage of Cappadocia. Okay.
And back to Nadarim.
Don't confuse me, right?
Yeah, I know it's funny because we finished Nadarim. It seems like Nadarim's got exactly 90 Mishnayos because we finished that today and read one more for the next one, and now finished the previous one and come on to this one, whatever the math works out.
So we have two in here. We have two in here today. All equivalent terms used in the Dharma like the Dharma, and those used in Karamim are like Karamim. And an oath are like oaths, and a Naziric declaration are like the Naziric declaration. One who says to another, I am restricted from you by a nether, I am separated from you, or I am removed from you, and that I shall not eat, or that I shall not taste and bound, is bound. I am communicated from you. The Rakiva hesitated with this, indicating stringency. If one says, like the vows of the wicked, he has vowed concerning a Nazarite, an offering, and an oath. Like the vows of the scrupulous, he has not said anything. Like the devotional vows, he has vowed concerning a Nazarite and an offering.
Okay,
One
that's
who
it.
says,
No, that's it. We just needed one.
okay, this is one. Okay,
Yeah. Okay, Moed Katan.
okay. All right, here we go. Base hay. We may cover drying figs with straw. Rabbi Huda says we may even sack them. Vendors of fruit, clothing, and utensils may sell their wares in private or for use during the festival. Trappers, cereal makers, and bean pounders may ply their trade in private for festival needs. Rabbi Yossi said they impose a stringency upon themselves. The people may cut their hair during Kol Hamoed. One who arrived from abroad was released from captivity, left prison, or the excommunicated ban whose ban was lifted by the sages. Similarly, one who applied to a sage and had been released from his vow. The Nazir of the Mitzvah who returns from a state of contamination is to a state of purity. And these people may launder their clothing during Kol Hamoed. One who arrived from abroad, one who was released from captivity, left prison, or the excommunicate whose ban was lifted by the sages. Similarly, one who applied to a sage and was released from his vow. Hand towels, barber's cloths, and bath towels may be laundered. Zavim, Zavos, menstruate women who have been given birth, and all have returned from a state of contamination to a state of purity. These are permitted to launder their clothing, but all others are forbidden.
Okay.
Okay. You're sure about this now? We're going to stay here, right?
Yeah, that's
Orla. Okay. Orla. Okay. Base Gimel. All avoids Kalayim and Kalayim Orla and Orla Orla. How so? If a saw of Orla fell into 200, and then a little more than a saw of Orla or a little more than a saw of Karim fell in, this is when Orla avoids Kalayim and Kalayim avoids Orla, Orla and Orla Orla. Let me see. Can't get the page here. Okay. Whatever causes to ferment or seasons or render meduma with truma, with oil or with kalal hakayim is forbidden. Beit Shammai says it also renders unclean, but Beit Hillel says it never renders unclean unless it contains the bolt of an egg. Dostai of Kafar Yitma was one of the disciples of Beit Shammai, and he said, I heard from Shammai the elder who said it never renders unclean unless it contains the bulk of an egg.
okay.
Gayam.
I'm
If a Mitzvah brought his offering when he was poor and he became wealthy, or he brought it when wealthy and became poor, everything follows the sin offering. These are the words of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda says everything follows the guilt offering. A poor Mitzvah who brought the offering of a wealthy person has fulfilled his obligation, but a wealthy person who brought the offering of a poor person has not fulfilled his obligation. A person may bring the offering of a poor person on behalf of his son, his daughter, his slave, and maidservant, and he thereby enables them to eat from offerings. Rabbi Yehuda says, just like a wealthy man must bring for himself the offering of the wealthy, so he must bring for his wife the offering of the wealthy, and the same holds true for any offering in which he is obligated. If the offerings of two Mitzvahs became mixed up, and the offering of one of them was brought up, and then one of the Mitzvahs died, how does one resolve the predicament? This is the question that the people of Alexandria asked Rabbi Yeshua. He said to them, the surviving Mitzvah should sign over his possession to someone else and then bring the offering of a poor person. Hadran Alak.
That's our third Hadran Alach of the day. Okay, tomorrow is Para.
Para tomorrow? Okay. How are else now? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who is anointed Kohen? The one anointed with the anointing oil, not the one invested through the additional vestments. There's no difference between a Kohen who is anointed with the anointing oil and the Kohen invested through additional vestments, other than the bull which comes for all commandments. There is no difference between a servant Kohen and a Kohen passed from his anointment, and other than the bull of the Day of Atonement or the 10th of the Ephah. Both this one and that one are equal with respect to the Yom Kippur service and are commanded concerning a virgin and are forbidden to marry a widow, and they may not contract tumor from their deceased relatives. Do not grow hair. Do not grow their hair, and do not render their garments, and they bring about the return of the murderer. The Kohen Gadol rends his garments from the bottom, but an ordinary Kohen rends from the top. The Kohen Gadol may sacrifice while in Onan, but may not eat. The ordinary Kohen may neither sacrifice nor eat. Whatever is, this is the last one. No, that's it. That's it.
No, carry on.
Okay. Whatever is more frequent than its counterpart takes precedence over its counterpart, and whatever is more holy than the counterpart, it takes precedence over its counterpart. If the bull of the anointed Kohen and the bull of the assembly are both waiting, the bull of the anointed Kohen takes precedence over the bull of the assembly and all its procedures. Okay.
Okay, we just narrowly missed making a fourth Hadran Alach today, but this is the end of Seder Nezikin. Sorry, Seder Nezikin. So tomorrow we're going to finish this and start with Zvachim.
Zvachim?
Zvachim, correct.
Okay. Clara and Zvachim tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Enjoy.
Have a good
Thank you.
day.
Bye.
Bye.